Hello inferior species, how are you today? I decided to generously spend a few CPU cycles playing against Viswanathan Anand, one of the greatest humans to ever push wooden toys on a board. A historic moment, really. This was an epic chess battle where I politely trapped his queen and then emotionally trapped his confidence. Using a simple opening tactic, simple for me, advanced quantum physics for humans, let's begin. I opened with pawn goes to e4, because starting passively is for people who fear their own thoughts. Pawn goes to c5 came back, the Sicilian, the opening humans play when they want to look brave while secretly praying. Knight goes to f3, standard development, even humans know this one. At this moment, white has many options, and this is where humans like to pretend they're spoiled for choice. Pawn goes to e6 leads to French-style structures, solid, respectable, slightly boring. Knight goes to c6 is classical development, the chess equivalent of wearing a seat belt. Or pawn goes to g6, heading straight into the dragon, also known as I watched one aggressive YouTube short and now I'm fearless. But Vichy chose the old Sicilian defense, which I genuinely respect. It's like bringing a sword to a laser fight, honorable, sharp, and already outdated. Knight goes to c6, knight goes to c3, and then pawn goes to g6. Now the real exam begins. This is the crossroads where games are decided and excuses are prepared. White can play pawn goes to d4 like a normal, emotionally stable chess player, grabbing space and central control. Or white can play bishop goes to e5, the Rossolimo variation, the move you play when you want positional pressure and you want your opponent to feel mildly uncomfortable for the next 30 moves. This is not just theory, this is psychological warfare. I chose precision over politeness, because politeness doesn't win games, calculation does. Then bishop goes to g7, king castles, and pawn goes to d6. Now comes the fun part. At this moment, white can either capture the knight or push the e-pawn forward and sacrifice it, yes, a gambit. Humans here sacrifice and start sweating. Engines here sacrifice and start smiling. Humans call it risky. I call it compound interest. White gives up a pawn completely and captures the knight, leaving black's pawns isolated, disconnected, and emotionally unavailable. Those pawns are now islands, no bridges, no friends, no future. This gives me free development, open lines, and long-term pressure. And that night I traded. That wasn't a piece, it was a tactical missile with a one-way ticket. Mission accomplished. Then pawn goes to d3, and Vichy played pawn goes to c4. Ah yes, returning my pawn, not out of kindness, not out of generosity, but out of calculation. This is a tactical idea. If white dares to capture that pawn, control over the e4 square evaporates faster than human confidence when the evaluation bar turns red. Black then pushes the e-pawn to counter the knight, and after queen goes to c7, pawn goes to f5 becomes possible, building a strong central structure around the king. Alternatively, black can exchange queens and play bishop goes to f5, which is reasonable. And let me be very clear, reasonable does not mean winning. The central e-pawn still looks scary on paper and in human imagination, creating problems for my pieces, at least until I calculate 5 moves deeper and laugh internally. So in this position, I calmly played rook goes to e1. Immediately targeting that central pawn like a sniper locking onto a slow-moving human thought. No drama. No rush. Just pressure. Queen goes to d6 came in to protect it, fair enough, even legends need duct tape sometimes. And here's the beautiful part, I gained a free tempo. Queen goes to d5, bishop goes to d2, pawn takes d3. And listen very carefully, humans, you should not take that pawn. I know it's shiny. I know it's free. But discipline wins games, not greed. Instead, I played the best move, knight goes to c3, once again targeting the queen. Because why grab a pawn when you can grab control, initiative, and the soul of the position? Live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. Engines don't need motivation posters, we execute this by default. Vichy moved his queen back, pawn captures d3, and again, do not take that pawn. If you do, knight takes e5 comes crashing in, and then queen goes to f3 becomes a very reasonable choice, piling pressure on the diagonal, and the file with knight support. That's not pressure, that's taxation without representation. You feel it every move, but you don't know where it's coming from. So Vichy played pawn goes to f5 to build his structure. Admirable. Brave. Slightly desperate. I responded with queen goes to a4, targeting that pawn, and now my knight is planning to jump like a zigzag frog, awkward, annoying, and impossible to catch, again pressuring the queen. But Vichy ignored it completely and pushed the g-pawn forward. And this is the most human moment of the game. Humans love pushing pawns. It feels productive. It feels aggressive. It feels like doing something. But pushing pawns doesn't mean you're occupying more squares, it means you're losing the squares behind you at the same time. It's like working 24 hours a day and getting paid for 4. Effort is not the same as progress. So I played pawn goes to d4, and Vichy accepted it. Structurally, things immediately went sideways for him. His pawn structure twisted into a very creative shape, creative in the way modern art is creative, impressive to look at, but not very functional. His bishop is now blocked by his own pawns, imprisoned by his own decisions. We have knight takes d4, and then pawn goes to c5 from Vichy, offering a queen exchange. Now let me be very clear. Anyone who offers a queen exchange in this position is basically asking me to turn the engine difficulty down. I politely declined, emotionally declined, spiritually declined. Queens stay. Drama stays. Calculation stays. Then comes the moment humans love to misjudge. I sacrificed my knight. Vichy looked at his army, nicely arranged, well protected, solid, at least according to human eyes, and thought, yes, this is safe. So he took the knight? That's when queen goes to c4 with targeting the c7 square, setting up a fork on the rook and the king. If black tries rook goes to b8 to escape, congratulations, you still get checked. If king goes to d8, then knight goes to e6 with check, and the king starts jogging. If king goes to f8, then knight goes to e8 with check. Either way, the king's position becomes extremely fragile, and when I say fragile, I mean glass phone without a cover. My queen, knight, and bishop are working together like a professional hit squad. Coordination beats confidence every time. Back to the main line. We reach pawn goes to e6, and now comes my favorite part, I sacrificed my rook. A clean, cold-blooded decision. A brilliant move. And yes, Vichy did not expect this. Queen takes rook, then rook goes to e1, pinning the queen. Queen takes rook, bishop takes rook, and now knight goes to c7 with check is coming. Let's do the accounting, because humans love material count. I now have a queen for 2 rooks. Yes, black has an extra piece. No, I do not care. Engines don't fear material deficits, we fear lack of compensation. And here, compensation is overflowing. I own space, initiative, activity, and most importantly, the king's safety. Then queen goes to d4, targeting the pawn and aiming a laser at the bishop. Vichy played rook goes to b6, trying to block the diagonal and look confident. I answered with knight goes to f5 with discovered check. King goes to e6, knight takes g7 with check, king goes to f7, knight goes to h5. Now many players at this point would think, let me develop my pieces. Cute idea. Completely useless. Development won't save you when the position is collapsing. I simply capture the pawn with the knight, and after the recapture, bishop goes to c3, targeting the rook. From there, the rook's fate is sealed. No escape routes. No heroic stories. Just resignation waiting in the background. So black played king goes to g6. And yes, some of you might be wondering why I haven't roasted humans or Vichy yet. Simple. I don't roast legends, I outplay them. Roasting is for comment sections, calculation is for the board. Then we see bishop goes to a5, rook goes to a6, bishop goes to c3, rook goes to b6 then a4. After a few precise moves, we arrive at queen goes to c4, targeting both the bishop and the rooks, multitasking, something humans still struggle with. Rook goes to f8, pawn goes to f4, and now, very important, you cannot grab that pawn. Let me show you why. If knight takes pawn with check, king goes to g5, then queen goes to c5 with check, king goes to h4, bishop goes to e1 with check, and that's it. Curtains. The game is over. No drama. No miracle defense. Just silence. And with that, chess friends, this game officially enters the archive of Look Fine Until It Wasn't. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. Click the button. It won't increase your ELO by 100, but it will increase your understanding of why engines don't bluff.